What is up, guys? William here from fitnessforbackpain.com. Really excited about today's video. We're talking about the worst stretches on the face of this round earth for back pain people. Any kind of disc herniation, disc bulge, rupture, fusion, you name it. If you have a sensitive low back, you're like, you know what, stretching is gonna save me. No, it's not. And unfortunately, the medical industry is gonna tell you that, so you're gonna be chasing stretches or join the latest and greatest local yoga class. Let's back off of that. I'm gonna give you 5 stretches that you've got to stop doing. Before we jump into that, I also wanna give you a resource. I'm gonna show you what you shouldn't be doing, but it's even better to know what you should be doing. And a big proponent of getting rid of tension, tightness, chronic, whether it be acute or chronic, is to build smarter strength, right? A lot of times when we have tightness in certain areas, it could be being overworked, it could be a weakness, it could be a compensation, all typically resolve with a proper, smart, kind of all-encompassing strength training program. If you don't have that because you're afraid of exercise, you're afraid of making mistakes, you're afraid of causing more pain, you gotta stop. And I'm gonna give you a free 7-day sample of what I would give someone if they're just starting out with bands and body weight. You can build strength, you can,
Look at those guns.
bands and body weight, okay? You can build strength, you can get healthy on simple workouts, especially if you have sensitivity. So go grab this free 7-day workout. You can get it at fitnessforbackpain.com/free week. It's yours, free. You can always go deeper into it, but I just want to give it to you. If you want to apply what you're learning here today and get results and get rid of this tension, go grab that free 7-day sample at fitnessforbackpain.com/free week. The first and probably number one stretch I say that you should 100% wipe clean of in your stretching protocol is the bending over and trying to touch your toes. I know it's something that is always been a goal in stretching. It's like, oh, if I can put my palms flat on the ground, I feel so much better. Or your back is super locked up, it's super tight, super tense, you're in pain, and when you go to bend over and touch your toes, you get some kind of relief, especially when you come back up, but it's actually false relief. It's a false sense of relief. So if you've been doing the touching your toes stretch, or the other variation of that is basically like almost like the old school sit and reach test you probably did in like middle school or high school in PE. You sat there and you basically felt like you were gonna snap your hamstrings trying to get some presidential award
that no one ever gave me.
But seriously though, stop doing the touching your toes stretch, bending over at that excessive flexion, especially if you have sciatica, herniations, bulges. That's one of the worst stretches you could ever do. Hands down, the second worst stretch is the child's pose, okay? Not knocking yogis, because I understand that everyone
Has a different way of stretching
and there's good and bad yoga okay, so the child's pose is something that 100,000% is something that sensitive low backs should not do. Herniations, bulge, sciatica, as much as it may feel good being in that position, the child's pose is one of the worst things you can do. You're over flexing the lower back. We gotta get away from wanting to stretch what may feel tight and trying to build more stability in these areas. I know it sounds counterproductive, but it's tight, William. When things are tight, you stretch them. Not necessarily, it's not always the case. And if you've been stretching it, you've been doing the child's pose, and you have low back pain, you have a history of surgery, and the stretching is not giving you lasting long-term relief, as in you do it a couple times and then you're done. Like you never have to do it again because it healed you. That's how you know something is working. If you do the child's pose and you have to do it every day, multiple times a day to maintain some kind of sanity, trust me, just give it up. The child's pose is not what you want to be doing. The third stretch you've got to take out of your stretching routine is the low back twist. Very common. You get on the ground, I used to call it the baseball stretch because we used to do it in baseball all the time. You get on the back, you drop on your back on the floor, you drop your legs over, and you kind of like take one arm and you kind of pin your knees down so you don't twist back over to the right side, and then you kind of like drag your arm over and try to stretch. You see it in yoga stretching, you see it in hot yoga, cold yoga, all the stretching routines that you see in the world when it comes to low back pain. We've got to stop doing this twisting stretch. that over rotation in a sensitive area is not going to bring healing to the area. I know that you may feel tight and tense, similar to most stretches that you do for low back pain, but that over rotation and maintaining that and holding that is just going to make your low back more upset. You'll either get up and feel like crap, and you'll know that you shouldn't be doing it, or you're gonna get up, feel great for like 20 minutes max, and then boom, the pain is back. If not worse, you're very sensitive. You can hardly bend over because now everything feels like it just keeps locking up every time you move. So stop doing the low back twisting stretch. The fourth stretch you have my complete permission to remove from your program 100% is I totally forgot what it was. Oh man. So the third stretch you have my complete permission to remove from your stretching routine is the knees to chest stretch, right? Usually you're on your back. This kind of starts off as a really good potential hip stretch. But the problem is we want that extra oomph in the low back. We want to kind of address that tightness we're experiencing and heal the hip issues that we're having. So we grab our knees and we're on our back and we're pulling our knees into our chest, and man, that feels so good in the hips. But then if you keep pulling deeper and deeper, you start feeling that low back stretch and it's like, wow, this is awesome.
This is gonna heal all of my pain.
And it's not. And it's so frustrating because I talk to so many people all the time who are given stretches, and this knees to chest stretch, very similar to the child's pose stretch, is just terrible for the sensitive low back. So if you've been doing that, remove it completely. Or if you must do it and you're doing it for your hips, don't pull back so far. You pull back as far as your legs will allow you to go before your pelvis starts to tuck under. If you have to get in front of a mirror to see what I'm talking about, just lay on your back, grab your knees, pull them forward, and watch your butt. If your butt starts lifting up, you're going way too far into that stretch and you're gonna start affecting the low back. The fifth and final stretch, I honestly don't have any clue what it's actually called. I'm sure it has an official name. I've always called it the corkscrew stretch, very similar to like the on your back, low back twisting stretch. You're getting a lot of rotation in this stretch. You're overstretching. You're trying to get space and that feel good sensation out of that low back through this stretch, and it will deliver it. But like I've said time and time again through this video, is if you have a sensitive low back and if you're trying to get yourself out of that chronic pain cycle, we've got to remove these things from our routine. So if you're doing the corkscrew stretch or any type of corkscrew stretch where you're twisting in that low back, let's remove them from your program 100%. And if you've stayed to the end, I'm gonna give you a little bonus, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, those were great. Now I know what not to do, but William, what should I do? And the best thing I can tell you to do is stop stretching right now. I'm not saying that you're never gonna stretch ever again, but I want you to stop your stretching habits, stop your stretching routine, and focus on a strength training program that teaches you how to overcome persistent low back pain, both mentally and physically, while you're working out, while you're using core training and exercising to do this. Start there. Commit to that, trust the process, and you're gonna notice that you have to stretch less. And the stretching that you do is like simple stuff. Like I'm at my desk sitting too long, so I'm gonna bring my arms back and stretching, get a little bit of that going. And that's all you're gonna need because you're gonna feel good because you're training smarter. Now, if you want a sample of what that workout should look like, you can use dumbbells, you can use barbells, and anything you wanna have, but I show you in a bodyweight and resistance band format. You can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/free week and grab that free sample workout. Again, it's fitnessforbackpain.com/free week. It's yours, my gift to you. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next episode.